What breaks my heart? Watching brilliant people become footnotes in other people's success stories. Not because they lack talent, not because they weren't smart enough, but because they were too available, too accommodating, too friendly to people who saw their kindness as weakness and their generosity as desperation. There's a man I know, we'll call him David, who had everything going for him. Sharp mind, incredible work ethic, a heart of gold. This brother will literally give you the shirt off his back. Someone needs help moving, David's there at 6 a.m. Someone needs money, David's account is open. Someone needs advice at 2 inches the morning, David picks up on the first ring. Everyone loved David. Everyone called David their best friend. Everyone knew they could count on David. David started a business, poured his life savings into it, worked 18-hour days. And you know what? When he needed help, when he needed just a fraction of what he'd given out for years, those same people were suddenly unavailable, too busy, had other commitments, would love to help, but David lost that business. Not because the idea was bad, not because he didn't work hard enough, but because he had spent so many years being everyone's solution that when he needed support, he had surrounded himself with takers who had never learned to give back. That story should shake something in you. Because somewhere in this room, online, listening to these words, that's you, you're David. You've made yourself so accessible, so friendly, so available that people have stopped valuing your presence and started expecting your servitude. Listen to me carefully. There is a fundamental difference between being kind and being convenient. Kindness is a virtue. Being convenient is a trap. And too many of us have confused the two to our own destruction. Your friendliness has become your liability. The very thing you thought was your strength has become the weapon people use to drain you, diminish you, and ultimately discard you when you have nothing left to offer. When you're too friendly, you're not actually building relationships, you're building dependencies. And dependencies don't honor you, they exploit you. People don't wake up thinking about how to bless you. They wake up thinking about what they can get from you. And the tragedy is, you've trained them to think this way. Every time you say yes when you should say no, you're teaching people that your boundaries don't matter. Every time you drop everything to solve someone else's problem while your own life is falling apart, you're teaching people that you don't value your own time. Every time you give and give and give without requiring reciprocity, you're teaching people that you're a resource to be used, not a person to be respected. And then we wonder why people take us for granted. We wonder why people only call when they need something. We wonder why people disappear when we're going through our own struggles. But the truth is, we taught them how to treat us. There's this profound principle in life. People would treat you the way you train them to treat you. If you train people that your time has no value, they will waste it. If you train people that your energy is unlimited, they will drain it. If you train people that your kindness has no boundaries, they will abuse it. I remember another situation, a young woman, phenomenally gifted. She had this incredible ability to connect with people, to make everyone feel special, to be present for everyone. She was the friend who never missed a birthday, never forgot to check in, never said no to a coffee date or a late night conversation. But you know what nobody noticed? She was drowning. Her own dreams were on hold because she was too busy helping other people build theirs. Her own mental health was deteriorating because she was too busy being everyone else's therapist. Her own finances were in shambles because she was too busy being everyone else's bank. And when she finally broke down, when she finally reached her limit and had to step back to save herself, people didn't rally around her. They didn't check on her. They didn't offer the same energy she had poured into them for years. They felt offended. They felt abandoned. They called her selfish. Because when you change the terms of engagement with people who have benefited from your dysfunction, they don't celebrate your growth. They resist it. They don't applaud your boundaries. They challenge them. Because your transformation threatens their convenience. This is what I need you to understand. Your excessive friendliness is not serving you. It's not even serving the people you're being friendly to. Because when you give people access to you without boundaries, you're actually preventing them from developing their own strength, their own solutions, their own connections with others. You become a crutch, and crutches are never celebrated. They're just used until they break. Let me take you somewhere deeper. There's a reason why the most impactful people in history, the ones who actually changed the world, who built empires, who created lasting legacies, were not the most accessible people. They weren't mean. They weren't heartless, but they understood something critical. Scarcity creates value. When you are available to everyone, you are valuable to no one. When everyone has access to your time becomes worthless. When everyone can get your attention loses its power. Think about it. The people who have most impacted your life, were they the ones who were always available? Or were they the ones whose time with you was so valuable, so concentrated, so intentional that every moment mattered? I'm not talking about being difficult or playing games. I'm talking about understanding that your presence is a gift, not a given. Your time is a treasure, not a triviality. Your energy is sacred, not expendable. And when you start operating from this understanding, something powerful happens. People start respecting you differently. Not because you've become arrogant, but because you've become clear. Not because you've become cold, but because you've become intentional. There was a season in my own life when I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I was trying to be everything to everyone. Every invitation I accepted. Every request for my time I honored. Every call I answered. I thought I was being a good person. I thought I was fulfilling my purpose to serve, but I was burning out. My own family was suffering because I was too available to other people. My own vision was blurry because I was too focused on helping others see clearly. My own tank was empty because I kept filling everyone else's cups. And one day, someone close to me said something that changed everything. You're so busy being friendly to everyone that you've forgotten to be faithful to your own assignment. That hit me like a freight train because it was true. My excessive friendliness wasn't virtue, it was avoidance. I was avoiding the hard work of my own purpose by staying busy with everyone else's needs. I was avoiding the discomfort of saying no by saying yes to everything. I was avoiding the possibility of disappointing people by exhausting myself trying to please everyone. And here's what I discovered. The moment I started protecting my time, the moment I started being selective about my availability, the moment I started saying no to good things so I could say yes to the best things, my life transformed. Not everyone was happy about it. Some people felt rejected. Some people questioned my motives. Some people accused me of changing, of becoming proud, of forgetting where I came from. But you know what? The people who truly valued me, who truly understood my purpose, who truly wanted to see me succeed, they respected the boundaries. They honored the changes. They adjusted their expectations because they cared more about my well-being than their convenience. And the people who couldn't adjust, they revealed themselves as people who never valued me. They valued what I could do for them. And that revelation, as painful as it was one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. Because once you know who's really for you and who's just using you, you can invest your energy wisely. You can build real relationships instead of one-sided transactions. You can create authentic connections instead of exhausting obligations. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned the right to your time. Not everyone should be allowed into your space. And understanding this doesn't make you mean, it makes you wise. There are levels to relationships. And too many of us are giving VIP access to people who should be in the general admission section of our lives. We're giving intimate access to people who have only shown casual interest. We're giving unlimited access to people who have shown limited commitment. And this misalignment creates chaos in our lives. Because when you give prime real estate to people who haven't earned it, you have no space left for the people who actually matter. When you give your best energy to people who are just passing through, you have nothing left for the people who are committed to staying. You need to understand something. Your inner circle should be small and carefully curated, not because you are exclusive, but because you are protective. You are protecting your peace. You're protecting your energy. you're protecting your purpose, and everyone else, they can be blessed by your life without having access to your life. They can benefit from your wisdom without having unlimited access to your time. They can be inspired by your journey without being involved in every step. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. You are stewarding something precious, your life, your time, your energy, your purpose. And good stewardship requires boundaries, requires selectivity, requires the courage to say this far and no further. I've watched too many people destroy their potential by being too friendly. I've seen too many marriages suffer because one partner was more committed to being liked by outsiders than loved by their spouse. I've seen too many businesses fail because the owner was too friendly to enforce standards, to demand excellence, to hold people accountable. I've seen too many gifted people become bitter and resentful because they gave and gave and gave until they had nothing left, and then wondered why nobody was there when they needed help. And every single time the pattern is the same. Excessive friendliness becomes a substitute for healthy boundaries. People pleasing becomes a substitute for purposeful living. Being available becomes a substitute for being valuable. But here's what you need to know. You can change this pattern today, right now. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to apologize for protecting yourself. You don't have to feel guilty for valuing your own life. You can start saying no without explanation. You can start creating space without apology. You can start prioritizing your purpose over people's expectations. And yes, some people will be upset. Yes, some people will question you. Yes, some people will walk away. But the people who walk away when you establish boundaries were never really with you. They were just using you. And losing users to gain allies is not a loss, it's an upgrade. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. The people who truly value you will honor your time. The people who are truly for you will celebrate your growth, even when it's inconvenient for them. And those are the people worth keeping. Those are the relationships worth investing in. Those are the connections that will sustain you when times get tough, that will celebrate you when you succeed, that will stick with you through every season, but you will never build. Those kinds of relationships, as long as you're too busy being friendly to everyone, you'll never experience authentic connection. As long as you're spreading yourself so thin that nobody gets the real you, they just get the exhausted, depleted version of you that's left over after you've given your best to everyone else. You know what's interesting? The most magnetic people I've ever encountered are not the most friendly. They are the most authentic. They are the most boundaried. They are the most selective about where they invest their energy. And that selectivity doesn't repel people. It attracts the right people. Because when you are too friendly, you attract everyone. And everyone includes energy vampires, time wasters, dream killers, and people who will celebrate you in your face and sabotage you behind your back. But when you're boundaried, when you're intentional, when you're selective, you attract quality. You attract people who are serious. You attract people who reciprocate. You attract people who add value instead of just extracting it. There's a businessman I encountered years ago who taught me something I'll never forget. This man had built an empire, multiple successful companies, employed thousands of people, impacted millions of lives, and everyone wanted access to him. Everyone wanted his time, his advice, his endorsement, his investment. What fascinated me, he was almost impossible to reach. You couldn't just call him. You couldn't just show up at his office. You couldn't just send him a message and expect an immediate response. There were layers, gatekeepers, processes you had to go through to get to him. And I watched people get offended by this. He's too big for us now. Success has changed him. He's forgotten the little people. That's what they said. But then I got the opportunity to actually sit with this man to understand his philosophy. And he told me something profound. I'm not protecting myself from people. I'm protecting my assignment. Every yes to something good is a no to something great. Every minute I spend on what's convenient is a minute stolen from what's crucial. I'm not being mean. I'm being meaningful. This man understood something most people never grasp. Your life is not a democracy where everyone gets a vote. Your time is not a public resource that everyone has a right to access. Your energy is not an unlimited well that everyone can draw from whenever they feel like it. Your life is a stewardship. You've been entrusted with gifts, talents, opportunities, and a limited amount of time to maximize them. And every person, every commitment, every relationship should be evaluated against this question. Is this helping me fulfill my assignment, or is this distracting me from it? Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what about helping people? What about being there for others? What about making a difference? And those are beautiful questions. But here's what you need to understand. You can't help anyone from an empty place. You can't pour into others when your own cup is empty. You can't lift others when you're drowning yourself. The strongest tree in the forest doesn't grow strong by allowing every bird to nest in it, every animal to feed from it, every person to carve their initials into it. It grows strong by developing deep roots, by drawing from its source, by weathering storms, by protecting its core. And then from that place of strength, it can provide shade, it can bear fruit, it can offer shelter. But all of that comes from a place of strength, not a place of depletion. I want to tell you about a woman, let's call her Grace. Grace was a teacher and she was exceptional at what she did. Students loved her because she was always available. Parents loved her because she always went above and beyond. Administration loved her because she never said no to extra responsibilities. Grace was the first one at school and the last one to leave. She tutored students after hours, on weekends, during her lunch breaks. She attended every school event, volunteered for every committee, took on every extra duty that needed filling. Everyone praised Grace. Teacher of the Year, awards, commendations, recognition. She was held up as the model educator, the one everyone should aspire to be like. What nobody saw, Grace's marriage was falling apart. Her husband felt like he was living with a stranger because she was never fully present at home, always thinking about her students, always planning her next lesson, always responding to parent emails at the dinner table. Her own children felt neglected because she gave her best energy to other people's children. Her health was deteriorating because she never took time to rest, to eat properly, to exercise, to breathe. And then one day Grace collapsed, literally collapsed in her classroom from exhaustion, had to be rushed to the hospital. The doctor said her body had simply shut down physically, emotionally, mentally. She had given until there was nothing left to give. And you know what happened? The school hired a replacement within a week. Parents who had praised her dedication started complaining about the disruption to their children's education. Students moved on. Life continued. The world kept spinning. All those years of excessive availability, of being too friendly, of sacrificing her own well-being to serve everyone else. And she was replaced in 7 days like she had never existed. Like her sacrifice meant nothing. Grace survived. She recovered. But she told me later that lying in that hospital bed was the wake-up call she needed. She realized that she had been operating from a broken belief system, that her value came from her usefulness, that love had to be earned through service, that boundaries were selfish, and she made a decision: never again would she sacrifice what mattered most for what mattered least. Never again would she allow her excessive friendliness to destroy her life. Never again would she confuse her identity with her availability. When Grace returned to work, she was different. She had office hours and she stuck to them. She stopped responding to emails after 6 p.m. She said no to extra committees. She protected her lunch breaks. She left work at work. And yes, some people were upset. Some people felt she had changed for the worse. Some people whispered that success or maybe the health scare had made her prideful. But something beautiful happened. Grace's marriage was restored. Her relationship with her own children deepened. Her health improved. And ironically, her teaching actually became more effective because she was showing up rested, energized, and fully present instead of exhausted, depleted, and running on fumes. The students who were serious about learning still got everything they needed from her. The parents who truly respected her, adapted to her boundaries, and the people who only valued her excessive availability, they revealed themselves and moved on. And that was okay, because grace finally understood that losing people who only value your dysfunction is not a loss, it's a liberation. This is what I'm trying to get you to see. Your excessive friendliness is often a symptom of a deeper issue. For some of you, it's fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of being disliked. So you say yes to everything and everyone because no feels too risky. For others, it's a broken sense of identity. You've built your entire sense of self around being the helpful one, the available one, the friendly one. And you're terrified that if you stop being excessively available, you'll lose your place, your value, your identity. For others, still is unhealed wounds. Maybe you grew up feeling invisible, so now you overcompensate by being hyper visible and hyper available. Maybe you grew up feeling unloved, so now you try to earn love through excessive service. Maybe you grew up feeling powerless, so now you find power in being needed. But here's the truth you need to hear. Healthy relationships don't require you to destroy yourself. Real love doesn't demand your depletion. Genuine connection doesn't come from convenience. It comes from mutual respect, mutual value, mutual investment. And until you deal with whatever is driving your excessive friendliness, you keep attracting the wrong people, accepting the wrong treatment, and wondering why you're exhausted, exploited, and unfulfilled. There's another dimension to this that we need to address. Your excessive friendliness is not just hurting you, it's hurting the people you're being friendly to. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but stay with me. When you're always available to solve people's problems, you rob them of the opportunity to develop their own problem-solving skills. When you're always there to catch people when they fall, you prevent them from learning how to stand on their own. When you're always the solution, you make them perpetually dependent. Real love, real friendship, real support is not about doing everything for people. It's about empowering people to do things for themselves. It's not about being a crutch. It's about being a coach. It's not about rescuing people from every challenge. It's about equipping them to face challenges and win. I know a father who nearly destroyed his son by being too friendly, too accommodating, too available. Every problem the son faced, the father fixed. Every consequence the son should have experienced, the father absorbed. Every lesson the son should have learned, the father prevented by intervening. The father thought he was being loving. He thought he was being supportive. He thought he was being a good parent. But what he was actually doing was raising a man-child who couldn't function without daddy's intervention, daddy's money, daddy's connections, daddy's solutions. And when that son hit his 30s and still couldn't hold a job, still couldn't maintain a relationship, still couldn't face basic adult responsibilities, the father finally realized that his excessive friendliness, his constant availability, his inability to let his son struggle and learn had actually crippled him. The most loving thing that father eventually did was the hardest thing he'd ever done. He stepped back. He stopped fixing. He stopped rescuing. He let his son experience the natural consequences of his choices. He stopped being excessively friendly and started being strategically supportive. And it was brutal. The son was angry. The son felt abandoned. The son accused his father of suddenly not caring. But you know what? Within 2 years, that son had transformed. He got his life together. He developed discipline. He learned accountability. He became a functioning, thriving adult. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to enable dysfunction. Sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is let people struggle. Sometimes the most friendly thing you can do is maintain boundaries that force people to grow. Your excessive friendliness might feel like love, but if it's preventing growth, if it's enabling immaturity, if it's creating unhealthy dependency, it's not love. It's harm disguised as help. Now, let me be very clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you should become cold, distant, or uncaring. I'm not saying you should refuse to help anyone or support anyone. I'm not saying relationships should be transactional or that you should only invest in people who can give something back to you. What I'm saying is this. There's a massive difference between being kind and being a doormat. There's a difference between being generous and being gullible. There's a difference between being supportive and being a crutch. There's a difference between being loving and being a fool. Wisdom knows the difference. Maturity understands the distinction. And growth requires you to operate from wisdom and maturity, not from fear and dysfunction. You can be kind with boundaries. You can be generous without being depleted. You can be supportive without sacrificing yourself. You can be loving without losing yourself. But it requires intentionality. It requires self-awareness. It requires the courage to disappoint people who have grown comfortable with your dysfunction. It requires the strength to say, I care about you, but I can't continue to function this way. I matter too. My well-being matters. My purpose matters. And I have to honor that. Some of you need to hear this. Stop waiting for people to change how they treat you. You change how you allow yourself to be treated. Stop waiting for people to respect your boundaries. You enforce your boundaries. Stop waiting for people to value your time. You demonstrate that your time is valuable by how you use it. The pattern will never change until you change it. The disrespect will never stop until you stop allowing it. The exploitation will never end until you end it. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, it will cost you some relationships. But those relationships are costing you something far more valuable right now. They are costing you your peace, your purpose, your potential, and your sanity. Is that a price you're willing to keep paying? Because I'm telling you, the price of change, as uncomfortable as it might be, is nowhere near as expensive as the price of staying the same. Here's what I want you to do. Starting today, starting right now, I want you to audit your relationships. I want you to look honestly at the people who have access to your time, your energy, your resources. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. Is this relationship mutual or is it one-sided? Does this person celebrate me or do they just use me? Does this person respect my boundaries or do they constantly push against them? Does this person add value to my life or do they just extract it? Would this person be there for me if I needed them the way they need me? And based on those honest answers, I want you to make some adjustments, not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but out of wisdom, out of self-preservation, out of respect for your own assignment and purpose. Some people need to be moved from your inner circle to your outer circle. Some people need to have their access reduced. Some people need to be released entirely. And some people need to stay exactly where they are because they've proven themselves worthy of that place. But you have to be honest. You have to be brave. You have to be willing to make hard decisions for the sake of your future. Because here's what I know. 5 years from now, you will either thank yourself or resent yourself for the decisions you make today about who you allow in your life and how you allow them to treat you. 5 years from now, you will either be thriving in healthy, reciprocal relationships with people who genuinely value you, or you will still be exhausted, depleted, and wondering why you keep attracting the same kinds of users and takers. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The responsibility is yours. Stop being too friendly. Start being wise. Start being boundaried. Start being intentional. Start being selective. Start valuing yourself the way you've been valuing everyone else. Your assignment is too important to be derailed by people who don't deserve access to you. Your purpose is too significant to be drained by relationships that don't serve your growth. Your life is too precious to be wasted on people who only show up when they need something. You were created for impact, for influence, for legacy, but none of that happens if you're too busy being everyone's solution, everyone's savior, everyone's endless source. It's time to stop. It's time to shift. It's time to protect what matters. It's time to honor your assignment by being selective about your associations. And when you do this, when you finally establish and enforce healthy boundaries, when you finally stop being excessively friendly and start being strategically relational, you'll discover something powerful. The right people don't run from your boundaries. They respect them. They honor them. They walk within them. because they value you, not just what you can do for them. And those people, those are the ones worth keeping. Those are the relationships worth investing in. Those are the connections that will sustain you, celebrate you, and support you through every season of life. But you'll never find them if you don't first clear out the space they need to occupy. You'll never attract them if you're still surrounded by people who drain you. Make the decision today. Draw the line today. Protect your peace today. Honor your purpose today. Stop being too friendly. Start being free.